lulu, hushaby. Dream of the angels way up high. Lulu la lulu, won't you cry? Mama won't go away. It was pitch black. It was the middle of the night, and so I started to run. I was 11 years old, running all by myself. I didn't know where I was running to. I knew that I was running away from the ghetto fans. I was trembling from fear and cold. So I was not calm, and I wasn't really a hero. I was really scared. Sleep in my arms while you still can. Childhood is but a day. Even when you're a great big man, Mama and Papa won't go away. The earliest time in my life that I remember was probably around 3-4 years old, when I lived in a small town in eastern Poland, center of town. We had our home, I had my parents. I had a good life. I did not suffer any kind of anti-Semitism at all. I was not aware, I was too young to experience that directly. That was until 1939. September the 1st, 1939, when the Germans invaded Poland and occupied that country almost within a very short time, things changed.
My name is Larry Zoltak. I'm the son of Sidney Zoltak, Holocaust survivor. He is bent on changing the world, if he can. Well, my father has been going on the March of the Living for the last few years. The March of the Living is an educational trip where Jewish children at the age of 17 or grade 11 go back to Poland to go through and see the various parts of Poland and be educated about what happened.
Before the war, when I was 6 years old, in 1937, I started going to a Hebrew school. And guess what kind of Hebrew school I went to? A Tarbut Hebrew school with the name Kadima.
Wow.
The war broke out, they closed the school, everything was destroyed.
But you are okay in that school.
Yeah, I survived, but...
From where?
I survived from Poland. How I survived?
Yes, how?
Another time.
We don't have much time.
Too much time, you can't. But I survived. I'm here.
Wow.
From a community of 7,000 Jews, less than 70 remained. None of my classmates survived. I had a responsibility. I had an obligation to tell the story, because my friends, my classmates, could not speak for themselves. When I do go and speak in schools to students, I avoid telling this story. It's difficult to talk about. It's difficult to think about. In the middle of the night, I woke up to the screaming and crying of my parents, who were in a room next door to me. And I sort of got out of bed and walked into their room, and I was confronted in a scene that my parents were both in their night clothes, and a German soldier with his handgun pointing out, and he was yelling to my father, "Raus, raus, get out, get out." Certainly at the age of 8, I didn't know what was happening. I learned what was going to happen, but didn't happen, was rape. Every time that I see it on television or I read in the newspaper about a country that is being terrorized in the manner that rape is included, immediately that scene comes back vivid in front of my eyes. In the summer of 1944, after we were liberated, it took us about a week before we got back into Semiatice. Ten dom, to 8? 8?
Tak.
To co zrobili tutaj?
No teraz jest
That was
zmienione.
that was my house. I have a photo of my mother standing on the balcony when she was pregnant with me in 1930. Same grill. Same grill. And we came here, my parents and I walked over to this house, and we said, well, this is our house and we want to go back to live here. We were here before the war and all that. They wouldn't let us in. People were living there and they said no. Whether it's going to be in my lifetime or in my son's lifetime or in my grandchildren's lifetime, they will know that there is a house in Semiatice that belongs to them. All the Jews had to move from their homes and move into a poor section of town where there were little huts rather than houses. And we had to live 4 or 5 families in one house. In the morning of the 2nd of November 1942, I was woken up in the middle of the night, around 1 o'clock, to tell me to get ready, and everybody else was getting ready as well. My father told me to go through the hole of that fence, and he would run after me. He would find me, and I started running. It took us a week of trekking, of going only at night, and daytime we would find shelter either in a barn or in a forest. My mother knocked on some doors of people that she knew, and she wasn't welcome. We were not allowed to stay there. My mother and I crouched in between the bushes while my father hid at the edge of the forest watching for intruders. As the morning progressed, my father noticed the boy herding a few cows. As the boy grew closer to the forest, he spotted my father. My father, knowing he had been seen, began to talk to the boy. The boy's name was Zygmunt Krinsky, and he was 15 years old.
It's like reading a book and then seeing the video, and you can read all you want, but unless you can see moving people and faces and being live in the story, you can't really understand it. As he's getting older, it's getting a little bit more difficult on him, and he's gone several times. Zygmunt is certainly getting on in age as my dad, and every time my father gets to go, it's always potentially the last time that he'll ever see him.
Pani Kryska.
Ja mam się przewracać, kochani. Ja już nie dam rady.
Come over here. Give Mrs. Krinsky a big hug. Zygmunt. Pamiętasz mego syna? Mój syn. That's it. I had no dreams. I was not thinking like a normal youngster. At that time, I was close to 13. Teenagers have dreams. Teenagers have aspirations. I had no aspirations other than surviving. Gdzie jest klepisko? Tutaj, a? Klepisko. Tutaj, a? And this is the barn that we spent 2 months and 2 months and 2 months, maybe a total of 6 months. So for 7 months on the other side that we saw no daylight, no sunshine. We were in total darkness throughout 7 months. And this actually couldn't have happened to me, could it? And I guess thanks to Zygmunt, who got us out of the forest. Pamiętasz ten las? A? Gdzie to ten las? Niedaleko. It's only a little distance from here, not very far. And we ended up staying there for 14 months. These were people that really didn't know my parents. They were not classmates of my parents. They were total strangers. But those people are exceptional human beings, wonderful people. We, the youngest survivors, the child survivors, now stand in the front line. We often ask ourselves what memory of the Shoah will look like when we are gone. We depart with the hope that our fears are only imaginary.